Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the whiskey nerd, and this week I'm reviewing Barrell Dovetail Bourbon. So let me get into the glass and I'll tell you a bit more about it. Now, Barrell as a company shouldn't really need all that much of an introduction. Now, they haven't really been around for a long time, but they've been here for a good time. They put out some really stellar top-notch bourbons, top-notch ryes. They put out kind of limited edition batches, they put out special releases, and they put out core whiskies. And this, the Dovetail, is one of their core whiskies. It comes in at a very respectable cask strength, 124.7 or 62.35% alcohol. It is a very strong whiskey and it is a very full flavored whiskey. It is a blend of different bourbons that were aged in virgin oak and then vintage port, cabernet wine barrels, and blackstrap molasses rum casks to really give a wide kind of base of flavors. There's so many different kind of flavors that go into this whiskey. I'm not surprised. The company says it took them a year to get that blend right, and it, I think, has paid off in this glass. If you look this whiskey up, you'll see that it has won a lot of awards, so let's find out why. Let's go in for the nose. Right off the bat, a nice hit of, I want to say vanilla, but it's almost as if it's vanilla sugar, like a melted sugar with a bit of vanilla in there. It's like a kind of a vanilla pudding, or like a creme brulee, where you get that vanilla custard and then that kind of toasted burnt brown sugar on top. Very nice. There's also like maybe some dried raisins, like those rich kind of where the juice has been concentrated, that kind of flavor. And then underneath that there's a bit of oak, a bit of maybe white pepper spiciness coming through. It's very, the pepperiness is not very strong for me on the nose, but it's definitely there. There's a nuttiness that's not really a peanut, not really a hazelnut, probably a walnut, like those, you know, the walnuts and the shells, that kind of dried out nuttiness, not very strongly flavored, but it's there. And then a bit of citrus. It's not really orangey, not really lemons or limes, but it's quite tart. It's kind of like a grapefruit. Yeah, it's got like a grapefruit. It has that kind of tart citrusiness, but it's not fully like a lemon or fully like a lime. I did say that this comes in at over 62% alcohol, but you wouldn't really tell that from the nose. Like there is just a nice, rich, dense, caramelly kind of flavor to it, but it's not really coming through with a huge amount of alcohol burn, which I think is very good and very respectable. So let's go in for the palate and see if that changes. Cheers. Okay, there's the proof. Definitely, again, leading with that brown sugar, leading with that kind of melted brown sugar influence. You get the oak coming through, you get a bit of spiciness, definitely more of that white pepper coming through, and also you get the ABV. Like, it's noticeable on the palate that there's a bit of heat, a good bit of heat to this whiskey. It's nice though, it's not really like it's burning. When I swallowed, the heat wasn't burning, it was like a hot heat, but not like a really hot heat. There's also some more kind of darker, richer notes, so I'm going to go in again and see if I can find them. Okay, there you go. It's like a cocoa powder. So you get this brown sugar, yeah, you get this oak and that kind of the peppery spiciness, but also you get a kind of like a dark, rich cocoa powder. Now, port casks will do that. They will give you that cocoa powder, the dark chocolate influence. I think that's definitely come through here. It's definitely like balancing out some of that rich sweetness. So it leads off, like I said, melted brown sugar, but then you got this kind of dry cocoa powder kind of flavor, balancing it out, making sure it's not going to be too sweet or kind of too dry. I'm not really getting a huge amount of the citrus, like that grapefruit or the walnuts that I was getting from the nose, so I'm going to have another sip and just see if I can find them. Maybe there's some citrus if I'm looking for it, but it's not really there. I will probably try adding a couple of drops of water to this and see if maybe those citrusy notes are just being hidden by the heat of the proof, but I'll do that after I talk about the finish. So let's go for the finish. Okay, so on the finish, yeah, you get the heat, yeah, you get the pepper. You get a bit of like the wine influence, I think, is coming through. Like it's like a rich, dark red berry jam, you know, where you got this nice rich bit of sweet fruit because it's, you know, dark berries, but also a good bit of sugar in there. It is relatively short. I mean, for such a high proof and such strong flavours into the palate, I was maybe expecting a bit of a longer finish on the whiskey. I mean, I'm still getting that tingly from the heat, from the ABV. There's a little bit of that nuttiness from the nose coming back as I'm breathing, but it's actually a pretty clean finish. It doesn't really last too long after that final sip. And now I'm going to add a drop or two of water. Now I don't normally add water to a whiskey because I prefer drinking it kind of how it came, how the manufacturers intended, but considering the high proof on this, I am just going to add a couple of drops of water in there and just see if that helps it open up and see if that helps it kind of other flavors kind of develop. On the nose, the vanilla has much more come forward. So before it was like brown sugar and vanilla like a creme brulee. Now it's like a vanilla pudding, like that brown sugar note has definitely gone down. Those kind of sharper oaky notes are also rounded out, much more soft. I'm getting more of that grapefruit sweetness as well. The kind of grapefruit citrusy skin, that is more apparent on the nose with the water. And I am still, of course, getting the bit of oak, I'm getting that spice, but it's much more kind of subdued beneath those other sweet flavours. So it's going for the palate. Interestingly, I think the oak spice and that peppery spice has definitely come much more to the fore with that bit of water added in. It's definitely allowed it to maybe shine through a bit more. I am getting more of that citrus, although it's more mellowed out. It's maybe more like an orange citrus. Maybe almost like heading towards a tropical fruit. Like it definitely has moved into that sugarier, sweeter, rounder note. The vanilla is there as well, but just I think it's been rounded out, but it has let some of those other notes shine through. And I think the pepperiness, if you're looking for the bit of pepperiness, that bit of oak spice, the drop or two of water does let that shine through a bit more. And so as for the finish, does that change with a drop of water? Okay, so as soon as I swallowed, I've got that heat, got that pepperiness, and that oak spice is hanging on, but it's not really changed. If anything, it's made the finish a little bit shorter, a little bit less clean. I think I preferred it without the water. I think I preferred it as it was, as it came in the bottle. Like, I do like a high proof whiskey. I mean, if you aren't a fan of high proof whiskeys, you might find that alcohol too much, but for me, I found it very nice and very well incorporated and very well balanced. On the back of the bottle, they do say that it's been bottled at cask strength, so we can experience its true flavour, and I think they're not wrong there. I think cask strength is the way to go with this one. I might be biased because I am on that cask strength crusade, but it's still a nice bourbon. I think it's very nice. I do prefer the cask strength though. Still, have you had anything from the Barrell line? Do you find that some of their whiskies are overhyped, or do you think that they are just right and that they are putting out some really good spirits? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're new here, I put out whiskey reviews every Wednesdays and cocktail recipes every Friday. So if you want to see more, make sure you hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Sláinte.